cried out, appearing in his bathrobe. "You must go to the air raid shelter. It's disgraceful. There are girls in there. Hula girls." Rafferty's face turned the color of a ripe beet. He marched to the shelter, followed by a smug Binghamton and a sweating McHale. "Open it," Rafferty ordered, but the PT-73 crew was faster than a greased lightning bolt. By the time the door swung open, the hula girls had been replaced by a group of sailors holding a fire drill. "Fire drill 100% successful, sir," Parker shouted, holding a fire hose that he immediately lost control of. Soaking Binghamton from head to toe, Rafferty turned to Binghamton. "Captain, have you lost your mind? First you claim to be dying, then you see hula girls in shelters? You're suffering from combat fatigue. Go back to bed." Binghamton stood there, dripping wet, clutching a single abandoned grass skirt that had snagged on the door. But, they were here. "Back to bed, Wally," Rafferty snapped. "Or I'll have you sent back to the States in a straitjacket." Chapter 4. The Sultan of Marami. Just as the smoke cleared from the Admiral's visit, a new crisis arrived in the form of royalty. The Sultan of Marami and his 3 beautiful daughters were being evacuated due to the threat of a Japanese advance. Binghamton, desperate to regain his standing, saw this as his chance. "We must go all out. An impression must be made. McHale, you take the Sultan on your boat. I will handle the formal dinner." McHale welcomed the Sultan aboard the PT-73. The Sultan, a man of great dignity and an even greater appreciation for fast boats, was instantly enamored. "Rather an interesting craft, Commander. If my country had a navy, I would certainly include a fleet of these." "Would you like to steer, Your Highness?" McHale offered. "May I?" "That does sound like a most amusing advertisement," the Sultan replied. While the Sultan practiced his high-speed maneuvers, Ensign Parker was busy getting himself into a different kind of trouble. He had struck up a date with one of the princesses, Siri. The ensuing dinner was a comedy of errors, to cover for various crew members who were sneaking around with the princesses. Several sailors, including a very reluctant and hairy Gruber, dressed up in veils and sarongs to dance for the Sultan. Binghamton, suspecting a ruse, lunged at one of the princesses. You phony Balinese bunny, you're under arrest!" He ripped off the veil to reveal a very confused, very bearded sailor. The Sultan stood up, his face a mask of royal fury. "Captain, your unpardonable behavior will be reported to the State Department. My daughters are insulted. But, I thought he was a princess!" Binghamton wailed as the Sultan stormed out. Chapter 5. The Laughing Gas and the Ghost Ship. Binghamton's blood pressure reached a new record when he decided to bring a fitness board to Taratupa to have Ensign Parker removed from the Navy for general incompetence and being a public nuisance. McHale knew he had to act. He knew that Binghamton was allergic to goldenrod and prone to tantrums. But he also knew about the supply of nitrous oxide laughing gas at the base dentist's office. "If we can get old Lead Bottom in a good mood," McHale whispered to the crew, "he'll cancel the board." The crew rigged a tank of laughing gas to the ventilation of Binghamton's office. As the captain sat down to write his report on Parker's incompetence, a sweet, numbing gas filled the room. Within minutes, Binghamton wasn't writing. He was giggling. He was dancing. He was calling Ensign Parker Chucky Wacky and promising him a promotion to Admiral. "Oh, Bingy Wingy." Parker laughed, himself caught in the cross-drift of the gas. When the head of the fitness board, Admiral Shoemaker, arrived, he found Binghamton wearing a hula skirt again and playing leapfrog with the crew. "Binghamton, what in the name of the Great White Fleet is going on here?" Shoemaker roared. "Oh, Shoey," Binghamton giggled, trying to put a lei around the Admiral's neck. "You're just in time for the party. Parker is a genius. Give him a medal." Suddenly, a Japanese air raid siren wailed. The gas was still in their systems. Laughing like a maniac, he fired a single, wildly aimed shot into the sky. By some miracle of physics and sheer luck, the shell struck a Japanese Zero right in the engine. The plane spiraled down in flames. "Magnificent!" Shoemaker cried, witnessing the feat. "A man who stands laughing in the face of death. This fitness board is cancelled." Parker is a hero. Binghamton, as the gas wore off, looked at the burning wreckage and then at his own grass skirt. Why me? Why is it always me? Chapter 6. Sidney the Alligator. The legendary Sidney the Alligator incident began when the crew found a friendly reptile in the swamp. They named him Sidney and taught him to appreciate peanut butter sandwiches. Binghamton, meanwhile, had set a trap. He marked $900 in payroll money and left his wallet as bait for the PT-73 crew to steal. But Sidney, motivated by the smell of leather and perhaps a wandering curiosity, found the wallet first. When Binghamton discovered his wallet was missing, he immediately arrested the crew. "I've got you. Markings on the bills. You're going to the brig for life." "But sir," McHale insisted. "An alligator took it, a friendly one named Sidney." "An alligator? Do you think I'm a fool?" "Take them to the court-martial." The trial was a spectacle. Parker, acting as the defense attorney, called Sidney to the stand. The crew hauled the alligator into the courtroom on a flatbed. "I object," Binghamton screamed. "You can't call an alligator to the stand." "Sir," Parker argued, "Sidney has the evidence." As if on cue, Sidney opened his mouth and spat out Binghamton's wallet right onto the judge's desk. The judge opened the wallet and found the marked bills, along with a half-eaten peanut butter sandwich. The charges were dropped, but Binghamton was ordered to pay for the cleaning of the courtroom and Sidney's dietary needs for a month. Chapter 7. The Noumea Payroll Heist. The final act of the Taratupa Chronicles took place in the French port of Noumea. The crew was sent to pick up a $62,000 payroll. Parker, entrusted with the bag, was promptly knocked unconscious by a mysterious assailant. "All I remember," Parker moaned, "was a girl's ankle. She had a little brown heart-shaped birthmark on it." McHale and the crew turned the town of Noumea upside down. They searched every café, every dance hall, and every bistro, asking every woman they saw to show their ankles for the U.S. Navy. It was a mission that the crew performed with suspicious enthusiasm. Eventually, they tracked the suspect, a local rogue, in a gray suit to a nearby square. A wild chase ensued through the narrow streets, involving fruit carts, laundry lines, and a group of confused French sailors. The thief tried to hide the money in the barrel of an old, decorative cannon in the center of the town square. "Stop him!" Binghamton shouted, having arrived in Noumea to oversee the disaster. The thief, desperate, lit the fuse of the ancient cannon. "Get down!" McHale yelled. The cannon roared. It didn't fire a ball. It fired $62,000 in small, unmarked bills. The sky over Noumea rained money. It was a blizzard of greenbacks, fluttering down onto the heads of the cheering townspeople and the weeping Captain Binghamton. "Manna from heaven," the locals cried. "My career!" Binghamton sobbed, catching 20s in his hat. McHale and his crew, however, were busy. By the time the last bill hit the ground, they had recovered exactly $62,000 and perhaps a few hundred extra for operational expenses. Epilogue. The sunset of the PT-73. As the PT-73 cruised back toward Taratupa, the crew sat on the deck, sharing a crate of champagne that had miraculously appeared in the hold. The sun was setting, painting the Pacific in shades of gold and violet. In the distance, they could hear the faint, muffled screams of Captain Binghamton, who was currently being lectured by Admiral Rafferty about the unorthodox distribution of naval funds. McHale leaned back, his cap tilted low over his eyes. "You know, Chuck, for a bunch of pirates, we don't do too badly." Parker, who was currently trying to feed a piece of steak to Sidney, who had hitched a ride on the bow, smiled. "You're right, Skip. But do you think the captain will ever forgive us?" McHale looked at the horizon and laughed. "I certainly hope not, Chuck. It wouldn't be half as much fun if he did." And as the boat disappeared into the tropical night, The only sound was the hum of the engines and the distant, rhythmic snapping